Chapter 10, verse 1 to 10. Very truly I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hears his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again Jesus said to them, Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep do not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved, and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I come that they may have life, and I have abundantly.
Hi everyone. Spring is here. Flowers are blooming. The world is waking up after a long winter. The seedlings are starting to show in our garden. The daffodils are almost ready to bloom. We're just a little bit later up here than those south of us, who I noticed in pictures already have daffodils in bloom. But what we are noticing is the migrating birds that are showing up on our feeder. Lots of sparrows as well as the flickers digging in the backyard for grubs. It is post-Easter. We celebrated the resurrection of the Lord 4 weeks ago, and we are in the midst of the great 50 days of Easter in the church year. And each of the stories that we listen to during this time focus on how the world has changed now that God has conquered death and Jesus lives again. We follow the disciples as they begin to shift from being with Jesus, having his physical presence with them, to being the ones who are now the bearers of the good news. They are learning to live in the world without the physical presence of Jesus. This is the birth of a new thing. The church is being created. Something new is going on. Because Jesus was dead and he's now alive. Because God was working in the world and creating something new. The tomb was empty and the world has never been the same since. In the reading from John, Jesus appears pre-resurrection in a conversation at the temple. Now, the meanings of Jesus' words take on a different, deeper meaning because we're listening to it in a post-resurrection world. Jesus is speaking to Pharisees. He is speaking about who he is and what he has come to do and how his work and life are deeply interconnected to God's. He's not making very much headway with the Pharisees. His words are falling on deaf ears. Jesus says, pay attention. Something is happening here that is important and life-changing and radical. Pay attention. Very truly I tell you, says Jesus, God is getting into the world and you're missing it. And then again, Jesus says to them, my sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. The Pharisees are so busy trying to prove Jesus wrong, so preoccupied with showing that Jesus is not from God, that they are blinded by their own hubris. That is to say, they can't see and hear Jesus as a voice from God because they have closed their minds to the possibility that God can get into the world through any other way than what they already know. They have not allowed God to work in them through Jesus. They've closed their minds. They've shut down the possibility of anything other than what they know. What is it that makes it so hard for us to accept that God may be trying to speak to us in a new way, that God is trying to communicate a new message? Jesus is trying to help the Pharisees understand just how much good God is doing in the world. Jesus has just healed a man who was born blind. And instead of rejoicing at the wonderful miracle that a man who has been blind since birth is now able to see, to experience the world in a whole new way, instead the Pharisees are looking for a scam. They're looking to discredit Jesus. They're looking for some reason that Jesus was able to do this, because this doesn't fit into their understanding of who God is and what God is capable of doing. And because in their minds, if this healing is not of God, then it must be of the devil or of something else that made the man see. Because to believe that the God that Jesus is talking about did it would mean that they would have to change. This is such a great story for the world right now. We witness this hubris in our world leaders, in politicians, in protesters that risk their health and the health of others as they stand in Queen's Park protesting lockdowns. I don't believe what scientists are saying, they shout. It's all a conspiracy to keep us inside, to ruin the economy. I don't care about my neighbor. It's my right to be out and about and not be confined to my home. You can't tell me what to do. Back into the John story. When the Pharisees confront the man and his parents and finally Jesus about how this man's sight was restored, they are so wrapped up in what they think that they know that they cannot see what is really going on. And when Jesus tries to clarify things using the metaphor of sheep and shepherds and gate and gatekeeping and thieves and robbers, what the Pharisees hear is not a clarification. Instead, they hear blasphemy. They do not hear gospel. They hear heresy. They are so busy protecting what they think that they know that they miss the miracle right in front of their noses. They miss the presence of the divine right in their midst. They miss the opportunity for new growth, for new understanding, and for transformation. How much are we like this? How many times do we not see what is right in front of us because it means that we will have to change our minds or think in a new way or consider another possibility and have to let go of what we think we know? What is it about our culture that makes us so difficult to think, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm the one that needs to change my mind? I'm pretty sure that this is what spurns prejudice and intolerance and bigotry and stereotypes. If we think that certain races are more violent than others, then we find stories that will back up our assumptions. And we ignore stories that prove otherwise. If we think that a person's gender is based on their sexual organs that they were born with, then we dismiss trans people's fears and concerns and continue to ignore issues of equality that are necessary for their personal safety. If we think that a certain expression of faith that calls God by a different name, like Allah or Elohim, or uses a different holy scripture, if we think that that is not the same God, then we can justify our hate and our intolerance, and we can proclaim our God as divine. Whenever we speak about people and begin with their race or religion or gender or age or social status and think that they are one way or another because of this, then we too have become like the Pharisees that Jesus encountered. Because if we listen to Jesus, if we open up our minds to what he is saying, if we allow the words of the Christ to enter in and land in the midst of our preconceptions and our beliefs and our certitudes, and we remain open enough to consider the possibility that we might be wrong, or that it is our thinking that needs to change, or that it is our heart that needs to be broken open, then we will have the opportunity to witness miracles right in front of our nose. My sheep know me, says Jesus. My sheep hear me. My sheep are open enough to consider that a man born blind can be healed. My sheep understand that sinners and prostitutes have a place at the table. My sheep know that everyone is welcome and no one is barred from God's love, and that skin color means nothing and sexual orientation is irrelevant and gender is immaterial and age has nothing to do with anything. My sheep know that they will make mistakes, but God will forgive them, and that there is always room for redemption. My sheep know that God is with them, even when they are being close-minded fools. My sheep know. Jesus speaks to us. We know his voice. He calls us to open our ears, to be open to hearing a new message, to be open to come into new understandings, to be open to hear the call of the shepherd, saying, care for my beloved children. Witness to the miracle of life all around you. Be open to the presence of God alive and at work in the world. It's like that old Sunday school song, or it's a camp song. It's just a song from about the 70s. I just want to be a sheep, ba, 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 ba. I just want to be a sheep, ba, 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 ba. Don't want to be a Pharisee, 'cause they're no fair, you see. I just want to be a sheep, ba, 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 ba. May it be so. Amen.
Acts chapter 2, verse 42 to 47. They devoted themselves to the apostles, teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone, because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all, as they had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the good will of all the people. And day by day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved.